but overwhelming numbers is not anything new as far as planning goes on the US side, but the J-20 is a significantly more lethal.
It's not
carry.
a J7. It's not
Correct.
like a J7 where you're just going to saturate the picture with your J7s. And
that's what I'm saying. So like back when I was first learning the fighter business, being saturated with targets was one thing, but they weren't really scary targets. But being saturated with scary targets is a little bit different.
欢迎来到胤蓝智库。长期以来，西方对西太平洋控制权的基本假设是以质胜量，但当同代际的隐形战机以史无前例的工业速率批量下线时，这一维持了20年的战略基石正在被冷库的产能数据彻底重塑。2026年最新卫星数据与智库评估显示，中国5代机的生产节点正在全面的加速。在跨越太平洋的远距离博弈中，作战半径与战损承受能力决定了战术的下限。面对一个具备完整现代化军工复合体、能够规模化补给战力的对手，美军长期依赖的基数量高精尖模型已面临结构性危机。本期访谈中，美军前线飞行员拆解了2个核心的现实问题。第一，产能断层。歼20维持着5条并行总装线，年产量已超100架，而美军核心的5代机 F-35仅有1条总装线，而且必须满足数十个盟国的配额分流。第二，高威胁饱和。当战场被成百上千架高隐身目标填满时，不仅会瞬间改写空征态势，会更快地消耗对方的弹药库。美式军工体系究竟面临怎样的体制性瓶颈呢？让我们进入正片，听一听一线实战人员的理性解剖。
China building J-20s fast. China doesn't need the best stealth jet, just the most. So for 20 years, the Western answer to Chinese air power is simple. Our jets are better. We've talked about this before over on the channel, one versus one. I still believe the United States has the best trained crews and flying machines out there. But it's talking about basically the Chinese military industrial complex. So satellite imagery study through 2026 tells a story that has rattled analysts on both sides of the Pacific. China's not just building stealth fighters, it's building them faster than any nation has built a modern combat aircraft in decades. And it's betting that enough good jets will beat a handful of great ones. And that is a tactic, a red air tactic. So the quick facts for J-20 specifically, I guess they're putting out 100 to 120 per year. They've got 5 J-20 production lines. They are building more factories, combined capacity of 300 to 400 jets a year. Wow, the 2030 projection is possibly 1,000 J-20s. So they're not only ramping up production, but they're building more factories to handle it. So they have also got the J-35 coming online here. So currently the United States is only building the F-35 as far as 5th gen fighters. China's building J-20 and the J-25. So quantity has a quality all of its own. Here's why it matters in a war across vast distances of the Pacific. Numbers are not a footnote. They are a whole equation. Aircraft need maintenance, get shot down, run out of missiles. A force that can absorb losses and keep generating sorties has options a smaller force does not. The old Soviet maximum applies. Quantity has a quality all of its own. And we saw this. The United States did this to Germany in World War II with the resupply ships. I mean, the famous saying was like, we could build them faster than the Germans could sink them. I mean, it's not an ideal tactic, but it works. So here they've got a China versus United States, the gap on in the table, and they just really look at 5th gen here. Obviously, United States is still building, I think, low rate production. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mover, but F-50, the EX, and then are we still accepting any F-16s off the line, or are those all foreign?
All foreign.
All foreign. I think Hornet production is wrapping up. But as far as China, J20, they've got the J20 and the J35. The U.S. is building F-35 only. The F-22 line closed in 2012. The output per year right now it's relatively similar, but the big thing is the assembly lines. They've got 5 assembly lines for J20, and we only have 1 for the F-35. And the thing is, the numbers look the same. So we're building 150 to 190 F-35s a year, but those aren't all going to us, right? So we've got a lot of partners in the F-35 program who ordered airplanes, and I mean we talk about that all the time. And there's going to be more orders, so we get less than what comes off the assembly line. In service right now, they've got 300 plus J20s. We've got 187 F-22s and F-35. Do we around 500 or 600 F-35s now, Mover, across the services?
I don't know what the current number is.
Yeah,
I mean, they're still planning them, but they're delivering them with no radar, so that's probably not good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. And then by 2030, the picture just gets worse. So it talks a little bit about the J20 and its capabilities. And to be honest, they can say whatever they want, but we really don't know what's under the skin, which is what's important in 5th gen and modern tactics. Engine technology as well. I think the U.S. is going to be ahead, but Mover,
Sure.
we've got a lot of experience flying Red Air. As far as their strategy of, hey, listen, if we can't match them, we can outbuild them. Valid? Or, I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, even before we got into this 5th gen war, that was a problem, right? Because you would run out of missiles. And that is the question I have with China is, are they able to build the missiles to go along with the fighters? Because it's not just about having the number of fighters, it's about having the weapons. And we see this with Ukraine. We see this in all, Middle East or whatever. You run through your stockpiles, and then can you build them fast enough to supply them? Because, 150 J20s that have just the gun, if they even have a gun, doesn't help you very much. You underestimate your enemy at your own peril. I'm not saying China is an enemy, but they are definitely an adversary. They're definitely a threat. So I don't know, whether the J20 is what it's advertised to be. We won't know that until we see it in actual action. However, if you assume it is, then that means they're a formidable threat, right? They have that capability, and you don't want to be saturated because it becomes a missile fight. It's who's got more missiles, better missiles, who can reach out and touch you farther away than if you're, dealing with some older tech, if you will, for the missile tech. So, dude, China has the advantage because of the reason China is not a free country. Right. I mean,
right.
What makes America great is what makes us our own worst enemy, is because we have to be fair. We've got constituencies. We got to build certain parts here. We got to build certain parts there. Now, granted, the current Department of War is trying to fix that and streamline it. And in some ways they have done better. And in some ways they've, have not fixed it yet. But our problem is, we aren't a centralized government that directs, Chengdu to produce, right? We're not telling Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and all these companies like, hey, you shall. We're saying, hey, give us a bid, and we got to bid on it, and we got to build this here because of this senator. We got to build this there. So they obviously have that advantage at the expense of, everything else. So it could very well be a threat. Now, there's been talks of the J20 having engine problems. There's been talks of the J20 having other issues. We've had our own engine problems. We've had our own issues. I mean, it's not any aircraft is going to have problems as it matures and progresses and stuff like that. I hope we don't find out. I mean, that's the bottom line, is because if we go to war with China, nobody wins. It's going to suck. I mean, it's just not going to be good. But if we do have to go to war with China, I think that the rate of production for like the EX and the F-35 and then the new 6th gen, that will be, because we only built 187. They're building more J-20s in a year almost than we have of the F-22. So,
yeah.
And that thing, I mean, we need it, right? We need something that's an F-22 replacement. And we did that because of, politics.
Yeah. Yeah. When I read this article, I mean, I don't think they're, 20, gosh, we're getting closer to 25 years ago. started the fighter game. But overwhelming numbers is not anything new as far as planning goes on the, on the US side. But the J-20 is a significantly more lethal.
It's not a J7. It's not
Correct.
like a J7 where you're just going to saturate the picture with your J7s. And
that's what I'm saying. So like back when I was first learning the fighter business, being saturated with targets was one thing, but they weren't really scary targets. But being saturated with scary targets is a little bit different.
Right. I mean, scary targets that can then defeat your missiles. So
Correct.
Now you're not just using missiles, you're wasting missiles.
Correct. Yeah. It's which is the bit which is concerning. Like I'm with you. We were like, let's pray to God that we never find out and we stay economic partners. And this is just fun and games.
I prefer peace.
Oh, dude, me too. 100%.
Yeah.
Me too.
But if you want peace, prepare for war.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, dude.
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength. I'm a believer in that, man. Very much so.
欢迎回到胤蓝智库。美军飞行员的几层焦虑，本质上是源于美式防务采购的政治经济学困境。F-35的供应链被拆分至全美数十个州及盟国，这种利益均沾的模式，政治上利于国会通过预算，但工业逻辑上却极大地抬高了协调的成本，削弱了紧急状态下的产能弹性。相比之下，全产业链优势与举国体制的中国，赋予了产能规模化的爆发力。数量本身就是一种质量，现代化冲突的本质仍是消耗战。当战场充斥着高隐身平台，导弹消耗的速率与后续补给的能力将取代单机性能，成为决定胜负的关键。大国博弈的底层逻辑正重新回归于高技术条件下的工业耐力较量。正如访谈所言，欲求和平，必先备战。在高度集成现代化的国防体系中，你认为单项技术的代差突破与庞大的工业体系带来的这种规模化生产，哪一个更能决定战略的争局？感谢收看本期胤蓝智库，期待你在评论区理性的探讨，我们下期见。